Hello, fellow fondlers and fans of godly gaming gear. This is Karak and Cadiz from Centaur Gaming, coming at you from the digital wonderland known as the internet, because fuck net neutrality. A magical, wonderful place where you can order a pair of shoes, watch porn, and see a person try to swallow a 10-pound chicken, all on the same page. We bring you another useless hour of random information and game speak, where our own witless brand of humor can go on even longer than my insufferable reviews. Why listen to us instead of some other podcast or videocast, you ask? No clue. My suggestion is you don't, because we're all kinds of fucked up. This show's been brought to you by no one, because we don't advertise. We don't sell time, even if someone was interested, unless they were advertising how to turn a pig into a mortar-shooting robot. We don't give a fuck. So here comes the news. Shift your starters and prepare to be boarded. Hi everybody, this is Karak from Centaur Gaming with Cadiz here, and we are here to deliver another delicious, decadent, deviant discussion on games. Today is... What day is today?
The 27th.
Today is June 27th. We'll be discussing a couple things. I do want to say thanks to everybody in the video that I had posted about the recent reclassification of my employment. And I did want to push people, if you get a chance, to go ahead and check out the Patreon, or how do you pronounce it? Patreon site. It's a site that allows you guys to support us moving forward. It doesn't, if we don't get enough support, it doesn't mean we'll stop reviews. But while I was employed, I was paying for the games myself, paying for the audio equipment to do podcasts. Now that's gone, and so what that allows you to do is for very small amounts of money, like $1 a month. So it's not like Sally Struthers eating kids in some African alley somewhere. Where it's like a coffee a day. I think this is more like a coffee a month. You can assist us moving forward with getting you guys more reviews, podcasts, videocasts. Also, we'll be doing some contests where you guys will be able to win the games. If we review games, you'll be able to win the games that we review. And if they're a bad game, I thought about this earlier. If they're a bad game, we'll figure something out. So I don't give you a game that I rated.
Hey, you won this great game.
Here's a shit game for you, buddy. Merry Christmas.
No, it's no good.
But so if you get a chance, I really, I don't push the site very much, but this is a time where if I don't, there will not be much at all coming out of it. And it really is a really small amount. I do, if you guys get a chance to go, there's a ton of levels there that you can subscribe to, the smallest being like $1. And if we hit certain milestones, there's some pretty incredible rewards on there. If you guys have any questions about it, go ahead and get a hold of me. I'll put the links in the video description. But again, I'll probably push this for maybe another week, maybe two, but I think after that I'll stop. I do appreciate some people who got a hold of me. A couple of people emailed me and gave me some really good advice for moving forward and maybe making the website a little bit larger, the viewership a little bit larger. So we'll also be doing some of those. We'll be making some changes here and there. Nothing huge right now, but we'll be looking at getting you guys as much content as possible. My plan is that for the next probably 3 to 4 weeks, to really go balls out and get as many reviews as possible. Some interviews, we're looking at least 1 or 2 people from games, usually concerning music. If I can get those, that'll be great. We'll also be doing more podcasts each week, and we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how the viewership goes. I was also surprised to find out that a lot of you guys were already pushing the YouTube channel to your friends. There were a couple of you guys that were like, I tell everybody. I totally appreciate that. If you can continue to do it, put it on Twitter, subscribe, see if your friends can subscribe and view those videos. It would really help. The Patreon website is the best place to go, and I appreciate every single bit. We've already got... Leah Thompson, I believe, and SH both gave us donations. They were very generous. So if you guys get a chance, that would be awesome. If you can't, I understand. So the first thing we're going to cover is some questions that we got from some peeps. Let's see. So from Marcus X, why do you say peace out bitches at the end of your reviews? So I don't take anything serious. I don't take anything serious. Even reclassification of employment. It's just one of those things where I don't really give an F about most things. And I joke about it. And so Peace Out Bitches was a joke amongst some friends and I when they would leave the house after video games. And it just became something where, peace out, bitches. That's it. It's just me saying goodbye. If you take it personal, I'm sorry. But that is just me just joking around. If you take it personal, but you can get through my review, I don't find it. I don't find that to make much sense because the reviews are usually far dirtier and worse. If you think I'm saying you're a bitch, I'm not. I'm just saying peace out, bitches. I may change it in the future. I saw some people who were like, hey, you should change that. I don't believe I should change it. It's just the way I end a review. It's certainly not anything personal. In fact, it's how I tease myself that way. I tease everybody. So I just want you guys to know it's not personal. The person who asked the question wasn't angry about it. They were just wondering why I did it. That's why. And we'll move on. The next one is from Ballistic Badass. Can you review Wii U games? Yeah, for sure. If you go to the Patreon website and you give me some donations, because we do not have a Wii U. I have a friend at my previous employment who loves his. We talked about it a lot. Almost bought one, but I think I'm still holding off a little bit. Cadiz and I talked last podcast about how there was a chance I was going to end up, going, fuck, I should have bought this a long time ago. I'm almost at that point right now, but to be honest, with this change in employment, I think I'm going to just stress content for what I have, which is PC, 360, PS3, PS4, and also somebody suggested that I start reviewing movies. If you guys like that idea, can you post in the comments, please, if you like it? Because sometimes I say post in the comments and I don't get any posts, so I just assume either people aren't listening or they don't want that thing. If you guys do want me to review movies and you feel like you'd watch them, I will definitely review movies old and new. It'd probably be a 5-10 minute review, just a typical, almost like a video game. I would love to do it. And honestly, I want to say thanks to the people who gave that idea, because I would never have thought of that. So the next question is from Torque Groin. Why do you not advertise or try to get more subscribers? This was asked, obviously, before the issues that have occurred this last week. And it's because it just, that's usually not the way I am. Everything I was doing on my own dollar because I really enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. I'll still continue to do it. It's now what's really going to matter is the level. It will drop down significantly if I can't figure out how to get more subscribers, and that'll be on me for content. But again, if you have a chance to listen to the podcast, iTunes, we're on Podomatic, and I'll put the links to all of these. I think that's basically the answer. It's what I sort of covered in yesterday's video. I will probably push for the next 2 weeks, but after that I don't think I'll push so much because I don't want you guys feeling like I'm just sitting here begging for money. Please give me money. Another good idea, it's not on here, but another good idea somebody gave me, and I'm definitely going to do, is my top 10 hates or likes about video games. And the idea was brilliant, and I don't know why, other than stupidity, of why I had never thought about that before. So I will be doing a top 10 things I dislike in video games, top 10 things I like. I don't know when that'll happen. I might do other lists of that type. I don't want to fill up the YouTube where you're just getting constantly spammed with smaller videos. I will start doing the rants because the Maxis thing that I released yesterday did piss me off because I am a Sims fan, a big Sims fan actually. Even though I'm a hardcore gamer, I'm an all gamer. I play on almost every device. That kind of thing where they just decide to remove swimming pools, it pisses me off. So
are you going to drown your Sims?
Yeah, you can't drown You can't drown your Sims if you fucking don't have swimming pools. So the next section, the main section, is the one we like to lovingly call Con. Con is shit that just pisses us off. So the first thing I'm going to cover is obesity or running in games and stamina. I'm not going to say what game because it's NDA, but I will say many games that you play, you end up being able to sprint like 4 feet, maybe 5 feet, before your fucking character, who's supposed to be athletic, suddenly gets smoker's lung and can't continue to run. And it's funny because some games allow you to sprint unlimited, some games allow you to sprint barely at all, and you put points in endurance, and each time you put a point in endurance, it fucking lets you go 10, 15 feet farther in your sprint. It's something stupid, but it pisses me off when I'm playing a game and I notice it so quickly. There's a lot, especially third-person games, where I'll be running forward, I'll be just sprinting around and be like, oh, now I'm tired, and I can't run anymore. That would be something that I would say pisses me off, actually, in almost every game I play. It's like one of the first things I check is push down on the thumbstick, move forward. Can I continue to move forward? No. My character obviously has some kind of phlegm disease and cannot do so. So I don't know. Have you ever noticed that?
I've noticed it. It varies from game to game. I know they do it in like, your first-person shooters and your MMOs for MMOs because they're trying to lengthen the subscription time. First-person shooters, they're trying.
They have some mathematical formula. They're like, if you can only sprint 15 feet, we can get them to play for 20 hours.
It's content extension, and like for first-person shooters, is always just a matter of they don't want to overpower the character by being able to run constantly.
Even though the enemies can run constantly.
Well, yeah, because they're enemies.
Even though the enemies don't run out of ammo, but I have to switch every 15 shots.
Exactly. That's why they're the enemy. That's why they must die, because they can sprint longer and they have all the ammo.
Was it Time Splitters that allowed you to... No, it wasn't Time Splitters. There was a game on the Xbox One. Maybe it was Urban Chaos?
Urban Chaos?
One of the games, the enemies would run out of bullets, and I thought that was really cool. Nice. I remember going like, oh, fuck, wow. I didn't even know how to play. I froze. I was like, well, shit, I don't know what to do now because...
This is weird.
Should we just fisticuff?
Yeah, this
come
fair now.
Yeah, so anyway, that's something... It sounds stupid, but, a lot of times when I'm talking to people, it's one of the things that comes up is like something I'm like, why can't I fucking run longer than 5 feet? Especially half the time these characters are ripped, meaty, muscled dudes. And is it Dragon's Dogma that you can barely sprint? I thought I'm thinking it's Dragon's Dogma that had like a fairly short sprint. I could be wrong.
Well, but I thought that was armor based, depending on how much, like what kind of armor.
Well, even that.
It's more like Skyrim or stuff.
I have 300-pound friends who can sprint fucking 100
that's the thing.
yards.
I try not to give it too much crap because I can only sprint until my knee gives out. So there's.
That would be awesome if you could like pick a trait like bad knees.
Exactly.
Or arthritic.
Yeah, it's like 16 feet and I dropped.
No shit. Snap. Fuck. The next thing we're going to cover is console power. So I talked about this in the last vidcast, and Cadiz has heard me talk about it unendingly. The fact is that these are fairly low-powered consoles, and when I don't mean that like Killzone doesn't look good or Rise doesn't look good, because they look awesome. What I mean is that first of all, we went from a situation where the Xbox 360 had 3 super fast CPUs, and now we've gone to these systems that are much slower in CPU power. They are more efficient, and there's more of them. And so what's going on is you have, I think there's a couple reasons why these aren't that powerful. One, it's obvious that Microsoft and Sony can pretend that they're just hardware, but it's obviously or just games. It's obvious they had some plans for TV. They wanted these to be sort of set-top boxes in a way, and so they wanted low power and low heat, and that's fine. And they went to 64-bit from 32, I believe. These are both 64-bit systems. So it allows them to use more memory, it allows them to do more things, but what it requires is multi-threading, and some programmers just don't get multi-threading yet. It's sort of like some fucking Rubik's Cube for them. And so that's why you're seeing, I think at least, some struggling, especially, people talk about frame rates and stuff like that, and it's true. Those do come up, just what a game can do, what it can't do. Right now, I think we're seeing a point where the developers are moving towards understanding multi-threading better. That also has to do with both the PS4 and the Xbox One's OS and how well the API is written for the developer to understand how to separate those threads. So I think we're going to be seeing a big jump, but they're still underpowered. Also, the 360, man, and the PS4 or the PS3. I can't remember when the 360 came out. Shit. I was living in another town.
6.5 years ago, I think?
No, it was longer than that because I worked at the last job for 8 years, and I had it before then. Yep. So whatever length, you guys can post in the comments because we can't fucking remember. We're both drunk.
It's time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
The fact is that we're looking at a situation where the PCs have sort of caught up. Never in the past have we bought a system where the PC would be able to equal it. And now we're buying game systems today where the PC games are the ports are far in advanced. And I'm going to cover some of the parity issues that we found out due to a leak this week. But there's just issues with that. And I don't think this will be a shorter generation for sure. I'm not going to say for sure, but I do think that both companies have to be looking at what they're going to do to further that power. I know Microsoft's looking at the cloud, and it seems like, especially now in the past couple weeks, there's been some push for, I think Phil Spencer said on Twitter that his next demo for the cloud for
Azure.
Crackdown 3. They're going to do some kind of demo where it's going to show like the leg and stuff like that, so people can see it's real. The cloud is real, and I'll cover that later. It's real for very specific things. And then I don't know what Sony's going to do. They have the more powerful system right now, so maybe they won't worry about it so much. So I could see a 5-year generation, maybe a 6-year generation, but right now we already have PCs that are in advance of those consoles, and let's be honest, exclusives matter. They're awesome, but what we have is the premium price of a normal console that we would expect for a normal console that's more powerful than the PC. So the past generation has repeated itself. However, what we actually are getting is the same cost, but we're getting systems that can't keep up to the PC. You see a lot of people saying, well, I'm buying that, I'm PCing that, I'm gonna PC that, I'm gonna PC this, I'm gonna PC that. PC is also a little easier to use now. It doesn't require as many arcane fucking commands, to get something to run borderless or to get something windowed mode or whatever mode you want to get it to run into. Drivers are not compatible. You have things like NVIDIA's GeForce Experience where they're trying to push what I could only describe as the worst possible settings on a game.
I was going to say, that experience has not been the best.
Yeah, the GeForce Experience.
That's a great... first time I've had, blue screen of death in my Windows 7 installed.
Was trying to use GeForce Experience?
Trying to update it. It would work one time, but if I ever tried to update it, it's like, nope.
Mine just crashed last night 3 times. Yeah. I was like, update, and then I was doing something else, and I was like, wait, what's going on? And none of my windows would respond, and I looked at GeForce, and I was like, shit. So I had to reboot. And, gotcha. Yeah, GeForce Experience has some cool stuff, like the ability to record. It uses any bit of downtime on the GPU to record, and it records quite well, actually. I've used it once or twice for reviews. I don't think anybody's noticed, because by the time I put the review up, I have to do some transcoding, but there are some pluses to it. AMD has their own stuff that they're working on, but again, I just think that PCs are easier to use. They are at a position now where their hardware is it's past the consoles, and so that bothers me. That's all I can say. It pisses me off. So, you got anything to add to that?
So the consoles, both of them, are using mobile processors. Am I right?
Yeah.
Did they give a reasoning for that? Because it seems like it's literally just heat.
Yeah, I don't know. Sony probably, if I was Sony and I saw the 360 having all those issues with the red ring, maybe they were like, and the PS4 is pretty small. PS4 is fucking hot though. The back of that PS4 will fucking peel paint off of something that doesn't have paint on it, man. That's hot.
So it's saving you money on your space heating in the wintertime.
They take a lot of watts, which surprises me. I actually looked it up thinking that they took a ton less, but at least one or two of the websites I looked at says that they take around the same.
The one takes a lot even for standby mode.
That's what it was. Yeah, somebody was talking about standby mode.
Just waiting for you to say, Xbox on is apparently just fully cranked. So if I'm
Xbox on, I'm already on, motherfucker, and I'm playing your game.
Out of town, I'm like, no, I'm not going to have that on for nothing, or
you just turn on Rise and it's beat it for you. Yeah. It's like, congratulations, here are all your achievements.
Achievements.
Pip pip. So that's something that it's mobile processors, but I'm glad they went to the multiple processors. I'm just really surprised at how slow they are. Microsoft bumped it. Microsoft bumped their CPU speed a little bit. Microsoft, if you've ever seen the inside of an Xbox, it's like the vacant stare of a fucking stupid person. Have you looked in there?
No.
There's nothing in there.
I kind of like the warranty as it stands.
It's well. No, I didn't open mine and shit. I opened yours when you weren't there.
Thanks, man.
No, but if you take off the top and look, it's fairly empty, and it's for. I think that's because Microsoft was like
big, huge
$3 billion for Red Ring. We're not doing that again. While on the other hand, maybe that's why you do, especially on NeoGAF. I see quite a few threads where people are like, "Man, my PS4 died" or whatever.
Right.
They have multiple. I've had three PS4s, and 2 of them died under mysterious circumstances where they ran for a while, and then so I'm like, is that heat related? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Shit happens.
It's paint related.
It's what?
It's paint related. You're saying it was peeling the paint.
Yeah, the paint falls into the back, clogs it up. The next thing is optimization of games. So an Ubisoft dev came and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on what he was saying, but he posted that basically not only is the parity stuff true, but that the Division will be paired to the point to where, and I could be wrong on this, so please correct me, but to where they'll pretty much all look somewhat the same. Now, I bitched about this because I thought that Ubisoft had done it with Watch Dogs, and this is the same company. And it looks like the Division is going to be done the same way. And what they're basically saying is, yes, They're going to make all games look pretty close to one another. And what he was stating, if you read the link, and I'll put the link in the description, he was stating that something along the lines of, and you'll never know what we have removed from all versions, so that one version can run.
Right.
So people can assume it's the Xbox One. There are some things the Xbox One, I don't know, might be able to do that like a PC can do, and there's certainly things the PC can do that the PS4 and Xbox One can't do.
Right.
So it makes me wonder, like, what exactly. I mean, he was pretty blunt about it. He was like, "Yes, there is parity for sure. We do it. You'll never know." I don't know if he was verified or not, but I think he was, because from the link that I looked at and what I read, like, it sounds like he had been verified as a real.
So it's like graphical and some sort of like visual gap reduction between all three major systems.
Well, yeah, and okay, for example, like they sort of fucked it up. They should have done it on the PS4 version of UFC versus the Xbox version. For example, the Xbox version of UFC has less MSA. Okay. It's less, anti-aliasing,
right.
And a couple weirdnesses with shadows, but it plays almost with 0 frame rate drop.
Okay.
The PS4 at times is bad. Like when I had the
like noticeable.
In my video, it was like, so it actually did that. But that's a situation where he basically admitted it. So I think people should be prepared. It's unfortunate. Some people on NeoGAF didn't like the idea that it was for DRM. Which is one of the things I had stated, which was that my personal belief is that, you look at all three versions and you're like, well, I can just get the PS4 version because my friends will be on it or whatever,
right.
And they just buy it. And that Ubisoft gets away with that, or the bigger companies get away with that, and it helps them because you can't pirate the next-gen consoles. What'll really matter is if somebody pirates the next-gen consoles and suddenly we start seeing Ubisoft releasing The Division and it looks 10 times better than, because Watch Dogs, you could crank the resolution and it really didn't do much. I mean, it looked better noticeably.
Even with the mod?
Without the mod. I'm just talking about the game.
Oh, right.
But
gotcha.
you could adjust everything, crank it up, and it looked better than the PS4 and Xbox One version, but it didn't look better. Like, you weren't like, oh man, this is the greatest thing in the world. Like,
day and night difference.
Right, but with the mod, even with Sweet FX, it looks better, but with the mod, it looks way better. Yeah, There's obviously an issue there. And then the next one is skipping sound and music in game reviews. This is the last one for this section. It pisses me off. I covered music and sound in all of my game reviews, and I don't know why you would not. But one of the things I did was somebody had commented, thanks, in one of the comments about covering the music, and I was like, well, that's weird. You're welcome for covering music. Yeah. And then I looked and found out that, lo and behold, major websites, even though they might have a rating for sound and music, they might have no sentence. One of them had nothing about sound and music, and the other one had like a single sentence. I know it's not as important as graphics for some people, but sound, music, guns, you hear everybody talk about guns. Like, the guns don't sound beefy enough, or the guns, or this or that. Or what happens is you get them where they mix it wrong, and all the sounds are in a tight audio spectrum. You'll hear me in reviews say, they were exactly where they need to be, which means everything has its own layer, so the human ear can hear the guns, screams, blah, 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 and then, dog whistles. And whales, dog whistles. Yeah. So that does piss me off. I can't believe it, and I won't stop, but I'm very surprised that other people don't mention, especially like music, like UFC. I was blown away how many people didn't mention the problems with the music in the new UFC game, which it's terrible. So that pisses me off. But anything for you?
Not so much that. But yeah, I mean, it's just an uncommon thing that it used to be back in like the GamePro days and the EGM days. I remember reading like that had its own like full scale category with its own like, okay, as this is coming into like, as we start getting games.
Did you say Game Fan?
No, Well, no,
because I thought Game Fan did it too.
Game Fan, but like GamePro and EGM were the only ones that like
next generation.
My parents would like let me get kind of thing.
Right.
So I was a little tyke.
Because they were T-rated.
Money, yeah. So, but they would have like in specific sections for that rating, and then somewhere along the way, when your CD or quality sound started to become the norm, and voice acting became not the quality, but the fact that the voice acting was in there, it became the norm. It became less and less of a thing as graphics became king. over time.
At
least that's how I noticed it.
I actually didn't even think that CD may have been the killer of reviewing that because, of course, I remember Red Book Audio. They were like, this has Red Book Audio.
Yeah.
But once you get to that point, I think a lot of people don't have a discerning ear for sound and music too. And so they hear a person talk and they think, oh, that sounds fine.
Yeah.
Where some of us, if you're listening to an MP3, I can go, that's compressed. Or that's at a bad bit rate, where somebody else can't notice it. I never thought about it being actually based around CD review. I have a ton of old game fan magazines and next gen magazines. I should go back and look to see.
Well, like the time, around the time that like Myst came out, and like that was also the same time that Super Metroid came out, because that's the two games my friend had brand new. Like the fact that they were even had like voice on a cartridge was like mind blowing. Soundtrack for that.
Well, dude, Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic is what started
that
the Sega
shit.
craze. Oh god.
I remember
Wolf Team.
JD McGuire. I don't know if he probably doesn't watch this, but he was a high school friend of mine, and he loved his SNES, and I brought over my Genesis, and it said Sega the starting, and I was fucking in his living room just doing not cartwheels, but somersaults. It just fucking talked. I was like, because it was different than Space Harrier, where it said, "Oh, get ready," but it was really like, and it had subtitles, so you could figure out what the fuck he was saying. But when when that first time I heard something, oh my god, yeah. But when I first heard Sega, I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever, and it looks real, which it never did.
Every generation looks more real than the last.
Yeah, exactly. So coming up next is the section that we like to term as general shit. So I'm going to cover a little bit here. I'm going to cover it somewhat fast. I'm going to skip the first one, Josh.
Okay.
So bandwidth caps and cloud gaming. So I covered this a little bit about Crackdown. It's obvious now that the demo that we saw for physics that was not shaded and everything that they showed, a month and a half ago, was it was what's Liberty City? No, Liberty City's GTA. What's the city in Crackdown? Crackdown City.
Crack City.
So in Crack City, so basically, the demo that they showed, they were showing physics, and one of the nice things, a couple of NeoGAF members, a couple of Reddit members, and I believe Beyond 3D, they did some calculations of what it would require for physics data to be done over the internet and bandwidth caps, and I think it's really interesting because originally the idea was, everything will be streamed from somewhere. Well, that's not really cloud gaming. That's streaming gaming. That's we'll call the two different right now. That's just playing a game completely remotely. What we're talking about here is where a game or a game system can offset some of the harder, complex calculations that don't matter when it comes to latency to somewhere else that does the work and then ships it back. And originally, many people were saying, hey, this is going to take up a ton of space on your bandwidth. It's going to eat up a ton of bandwidth. And there were some people doing some pretty cool math where they were figuring out, what bandwidth you would need to do physics, for example, a building being destroyed. And at first everybody thought, it would require, every single piece to be tracked, and then somebody else, a very intelligent person, came forward and was like, actually, no, you can use, I can't remember what he said, it was meshes or something. And they started really breaking it down to the fact that some of the physics, destruction and stuff like that, can easily be done without latency issues on a remote server. So I'm really excited to see that come around. However, one of the problems I think we're running into is bandwidth caps. I don't have a bandwidth cap. Do you have a bandwidth cap?
No, I think Comcast has a bandwidth warning.
Did you ever get one?
No, I've yet to get one.
Torrenting motherfucker.
I'm downloading the internet.
I did get that one where they called me and said something like, you have downloaded 1 terabyte of data or something. And I was like, yep, I did. And they were like, can you not do that?
And it's Pacific City. For those
Pacific City.
Yep.
So what they did was they figured out it was like a 1.5 megabit download or bandwidth pipe for doing some of this, which is actually not bad. And they were saying that would be your burst, which when an explosion happens, that's when the most amount of physics data would be transferred back and forth. And then the rest actually grew progressively smaller. So that was cool. But I think with bandwidth caps, that's one of the problems we're going to see is unless Microsoft or Sony become ISPs, which I would not. Sometimes I wonder
if that's
why they haven't done that. Yeah, like if Microsoft's like, I don't know. Like, it would be weird, but it would make sense if they're pushing that to say, fuck you, Comcast, we're going to... Because isn't Google doing Google Fiber? I mean, they're doing their own.
They're in select cities who are positioning for it, they get it. So I don't know how, like, parity it is with, like, Comcast.
I'm sure it's balls to the walls faster, and I'm sure when you call them and need help, they come within, like, the first, a couple hours instead of Comcast. We'll be there in a month. You just need to be there waiting for us.
Between like Tuesday and Tuesday.
Yeah. You're like, what the fuck, man? I don't know what time you're going to be here. Yes, that's your problem. Thank you for paying us an extraordinary amount of money for your bandwidth.
Start waiting.
Your bandwidth that isn't even yours, it's shared at your, in your cul-de-sac. It just goes down.
Or your apartment complex.
So when it comes to that, I think the only real issue we'll be looking at, I think the programmers probably are smart enough to understand what they need to do to make the physics work. I think what we're really going to run into, like I said, is the caps. And I'm interested to see, I think everybody who's going to comment is going to say they have a cap, because from what I understand, caps are everywhere but where I live. And I do see that as being an issue. For example, if somebody throws up a Netflix, even standard definition Netflix, and watches it for 45 minutes to watch an episode of Eureka or something like that, that's a couple hundred megabytes, and it's like they're not just playing games. They're playing games. They're listening to streaming music. They're surfing the web with, they're downloading every one of my YouTubes and watching them 3 times. So I mean, there's a lot of issues there, and I think we're going to run into bandwidth caps, and I'm not quite sure how they're going to work. Or if they're going to say fuck it and make you work around it, like.
Well, it's probably going to be a premium based thing where, like, you'll hit your whatever arbitrary number cap that they have, and then anything over and above that, they're going to do like cell phone companies and start overcharging you.
Oh well, I think some do. Somebody can post on the links. I thought Charter does that. I could be wrong. But one other thing is that what would happen if you unplugged the system when it was connected to the cloud? There's 2 things that could possibly happen. One, all of the physics that were being rendered would go to simpler forms. That was the first thing somebody said, was that, like, the really amazing physics would basically, they would become whatever the system could handle. Right. And then somebody else was saying the very realistic possibility is that, fuck it, you're online for this game.
Or the third possibility, you open a gateway to hell. But
you're online for this game.
Okay.
Have you ever had to listen to people in chat? That's hell.
That is a gateway.
Actually, it's not. I don't ever have issues. Everybody always bitches about chat, but I don't have a problem.
It's what it is.
So I'm super excited to see what they do with it. I think it's going to be awesome. I think I used to play on live all the time on my tablet. I played Witcher 2 on live. I played. There's a LA Noire on my tablet, and that was on live. LA Noire wasn't so bad because it didn't require super fast speed. I mean, you weren't a fucking jet fighter. You were, 1950s.
Yeah, I've got the DSX on that. I played it. It was maybe
a little bit of lag on that, though.
Not so much lag, but they dropped the
resolution
a little bit.
But did you play it on your computer?
Yeah.
One cool thing about those systems, playing them on like a tablet, it still looks amazing.
Yeah.
Because they've crushed it down, and those don't need as much bandwidth. That's how I was playing a lot of them. But yeah, so we'll have to see how it goes. I'm super excited to see cloud gaming regardless. I just think it's going to be awesome.
If they get it figured out.
Oh, and so the next thing I want to cover is a game everybody should look at. It's called Inquisitor's Heartbeat. And what it is it's a game for the blind. And it's a roguelike game. You guys need to check this shit out because these guys deserve some kudos for this. But basically, it's a roguelike game that uses sound only. Again, it's called Inquisitor's Heartbeat. Go look at it. Totally fucking awesome. It just uses like your forward, back, side to side keys and a couple other keys. It's all done by sound. I don't know if they said it requires headphones. I don't think it's anything like the neural, the 3D type of audios. I think you can just use speakers as long as you have stereo. Okay. But I just the idea astounds me because one of the people on one of our forums he's deaf and he talks about.
How does that work then? If he's deaf?
Sorry, I'm getting to the next section. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So he's deaf, and one of the things he complained about was subtitles. He was saying that in subtitles, when he turns a subtitle on, it's not always on. Sometimes subtitles are only on during the cutscenes. Right. And he was. It dawned on me that was the first time where I'd had somebody who had one of the main senses not working say I actually can't play this game. Like I don't know where I'm supposed to go. It dawned on me just how shitty that was, and I actually. That's when I started thinking about it, and it pops up in my head occasionally, and I heard about this Inquisitor's Heartbeat, and I was like, what? I gotta look this up, and saw it. And I think more developers should do it. Number one, I think all developers should make subtitles. I go in and turn them on anyway, because sometimes I won't be listening. Yeah, you always turn them off?
I always turn them off. But
yeah, I mean, everybody plays a different way.
Like that.
I just hope that developers will... I think most games have them on all the time. That's good, and that's the way it should be. Obviously, if you're in GTA and there's 55 people around you, it'd be a little fucking weird with, like... But
yeah, GTA Online, that'd be great.
No shit. But I love the idea of developers coming up with ideas like this. And, again, if you guys get a chance, go check it out. I think it's well worth it. The next one is the Rise sequel, or... Yeah, we'll talk about Rise sequel dropped. So this went back and forth, actually, because IGN just did a podcast where they said there's actually a chance of the Rise sequel being made. So we know that Microsoft wanted it. Crytek didn't want to give it to them, and now Crytek is supposedly in some kind of financial problems. So we don't know. All I know is a Rise in, like, Dark Ages with some fixed gameplay would be awesome, where it didn't have any of that Connect hierarchy, because it had some Connect stuff, right, so not built into it, but like you could tell there was a little bits of it still in that game. Right. I would love to see Rise with none of that, and just see how it plays, because Rise on the hardest difficulty was a true game. Like, everybody I talked to is like, well, Rise, well, not everybody, many people actually really liked it, but many people didn't like it until they put it on hard or very hard, and then they were like, oh wow, this actually, I do see what you mean, it is a full game, because that's how I played it. I was like, oh, because it said like this is the full experience, so I was like, well, I'll play it on this, and when I did, I was like, oh, I couldn't figure out why other people were like, I can just do this and that. I was like, god damn, I suck. And then once I started playing, I was like, oh no, you're not on hard, because hard really did, I'm not saying it's perfect at all, I'm just saying that was a far more realistic representation of the game. They should have had
like rescaled it.
They should have rescaled it. Yeah, they should have had no easy maybe, so that people had to start in on medium and at least think a little bit about the counters. There was a lot of moves in Rise. A lot of people didn't know that. Hell, I didn't know about one or two of the moves until like 3 levels into the game, and then I was like, oh shit.
Like the way they unlock.
Yeah, and the way they unlock is different. Yeah. Right, and you can't I mean, I don't even think you can unlock all of them in one playthrough, because I played through 3, and I think I think I've played through 3 times, and I still have one single one.
Wow.
Yeah, that's worth it. But anyway, so there'll be more information to come on that. I'm not quite sure if it'll happen or not. Now, the next thing is Plex is coming to the Xbox One in beta form very soon. If nobody knows what Plex is, which would be really surprising, Plex is a transcoding software that allows you to basically have it running on your PC and stream it to your Xbox One, so it transcodes everything. I don't think I've ever found a file that Plex doesn't work on. Ever. Do you use Plex?
I've used it for a couple things, streaming from my PC to my tablet.
Gotcha. Yeah, Plex is awesome. Yeah, and so that was a big... I remember when they first announced that it was going to come out, I was just freaking out, because Plex is great. Regardless of what hardware you're watching it on, Plex almost always works just perfectly. It does have a tendency to use up space like nobody's fucking business. I mean, it'll take over real estate, man. It's just like a virus. It's like you will install it, and it'll start downloading like poster shots and screenshots, and pretty soon you're like 75 gigs.
Yeah, I need to figure out a way to like flush that, or like.
Yeah, so do I. I don't know. I'm sure somebody else knows how to, but I don't know how to remove it. And then the last one for me was Alien Isolation is going to be running the same on both the PS4 and the Xbox One, so people are claiming parity, whatever. I don't know. I don't know much about the game. I just know that from what it sounds like, games now are going to start running about the same on both systems. I have a feeling you'll see stuff like the Xbox One version having 2 times anti-aliasing, while the PS4 has 4. I don't know if that's because the Xbox One, they've fixed some stuff, they've figured it out more, or if it's parity, but it does seem like... UFC, there's been, it just seems like as I'm looking at game releases, they're getting a little bit more, like just a little tighter in the differences between the two. So that'll be interesting. Do you have anything for this?
Mostly just for Forza Horizon 2, the difference between the Xbox One and the Xbox 360 versions.
Beyond looking awesome, both of them.
Right. Well, to a certain degree. They're not going to have the weather effects in the 360 version, and basically they said don't treat them like 2 versions of the same game. They said treat them like 2 separate games are coming as 2 different bases of, like, they're going to be in the same location. They're both in Europe. Right. For this time around, rather than Colorado.
Which it seems like people liked it a lot. I think it was IGN who freaked out about it.
Yeah, they said like the Tuscany track.
It's totally awesome.
Yeah, and the 3 cars, and they look gorgeous. It looks, the weather effects, the resolution for the cars, they've definitely upped that, because they were showing the Xbox One version, and it's it's nice to be able to get in. Oh, another thing that they mentioned, I don't know how much tweaking they'll let you do with it, but in Forza Horizon the first time, you didn't have much modification control over your car.
Right.
They said that this time they're going to be closer and let you actually go in and, like, if you want to do the gear ratios, if you want to do the brake tuning, the suspension tuning, for gearheads. Like my brother, he's a gearhead by trade, loves that stuff, and he's like, I don't know about this Forza Horizon, it's really not for me. I may just stick with Forza where I can go in and I want to put gear 3 to shift point, and then he starts saying, like, ratios, like, I love cars, but that's the kind of minutia that I
don't even mess with
that people love that I can't quite get into. So, like, when we had our racing teams, he was the mechanic. I was the guy who would be trying to post the times, and that was how it worked, and it worked great. So, but yeah, I'll be picking up the Xbox One version just because I have the system and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, I'm interested to see just how awesome it'll. I mean, they did such a good job on the first one that I'm super excited. I know it's two different developers, but I'm super excited to see just what it looks like on the Xbox One, because goddamn, like, the Xbox version of Forza Horizon, it is pretty damn good. Like, they did some amazing work to get that looking good. So that finishes up general shit that we have found throughout the entire week. And so the next section coming up is a section I like to call On the Horizon 2014. And the first one I want to cover, it's a cheat, I know, because it's supposed to be new games, or we're hoping it's new games. But for me, it's Last of Us Remastered. The only reason is because I did not get to play it through on the PS3. I think the PS4 is the system it should be on, and I'm just super excited for that. I think that as we get nearer the end of this year, there's going to be less and less games to talk about, but that are new, that we haven't covered before. But man, The Last of Us, everybody talks about it. There's a couple people playing it on a couple of the forums right now that I follow, and they're just, it's like, it just seems like the game goes on, and there's so many different plot twists and stuff, and I missed out on it. And so to see it looking better, supposedly, and being on the PS4, I am stoked for that game. I think that's the only game I have on the list. So, Destiny. So, did you get to play the alpha?
No, I did not, because I do not have a PS4.
I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
So, I won't cover much of Destiny. I think the people who wanted to play it played it. There's going to be a 4-day wait in the beta between the PS4 and the Xbox One, which is the weirdest, smallest, shortest wait date I've ever seen for, like, an exclusive. But there's a 4-day exclusive between the two systems. People say it's Halo. It's funny because a lot of people, I tell them, no, it's definitely not Halo. The moment you play it, you realize it's not. But Bungie has a shader or some kind of color effect that they use that makes games look alike. Except for Myth, which I wish they would release another Myth.
Someday.
Yeah, but Destiny was more like Borderlands. Mixed with other first-person shooters and stuff like that. Like, so far I haven't been super excited about it. I will say the beta turned me off a little bit, just because, like, the AI, I could fool the AI with a fucking box. I hate that. It's the first thing I do, and it's the first thing I check, because years and years ago they tested Half-Life 1's AI with a box and a crowbar. Do you even remember that? There was a level that they used to show where, like, they would leave you in a room with a crowbar and the AI, and they would just and you would be able to see it do all these different things that it was thinking and doing. And so for some reason, that's how I test AI. The moment I get in a game, I run around a pillar or a box with an enemy and see, does he just does he cut back? What does he do? Does he stop? Does he kneel and turn around and wait for me to come? Does he do any kind of forward thinking at all?
Well, because didn't Halo 1 actually do that?
Halo 1 did a lot of that, and that's actually one of the things. Now, remember, Bungie now is not Bungie then. I mean, there's a lot of people who've come and gone. 343 is not the same 343. They lost a couple people. So I don't know if the AI people are the same people, or if they can run it the same way. Okay. But I do know that what I've seen and how I played, it's an alpha. I mean, it's just I wasn't as hot on it as everybody else was. Where I went into it thinking it did look like what I wanted to play. Once I played it, I was a little lower on my expectations, and I think a lot of people went in going, and then they were high. So I think it just went, we switched places. Yeah. So once they release the beta, we'll be able to see more. But so far, graphically, the world grabs me, but the guns and the gameplay just did not grab me.
I'm worried about the enemy spawn when, like, say you go into an area, you try and mow down a few guys,
right?
You're burning through your ammo. For whatever reason, they mow you down. You're dead. You respawn. You're still out that ammo, and all the enemies are back. It's diminishing returns. It's like, what are you supposed to do?
Their respawn is broken, man.
Yeah.
It's just an ever-filling pool of shit. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the respawn. I'm sure they'll fix it, but yeah, the respawn issue came up. A lot of people were complaining about it. Also, I noticed, so the ship drops and people come out of it and stuff like that. I must have had a bug a couple times because, like, one level there was, a normal amount of people, and then I swear to God, the next time there was like all the people. Yeah, it looked like the system didn't slow down or anything, so I assumed maybe it was on purpose. But I was like, wow, if I shot every guy in the head, I might not have enough bullets in all my guns. Like, I was so surprised by the amount of guys. It only happened once or twice, but I don't know if I passed a point, like if they have some kind of grid system where it's like, boop, 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 and each time you do that, another set of guys come down, or what? And maybe I just, hip rolled through it a couple times, but for some reason it just flooded that area.
Triggered Braveheart mode where they're just running down the hill.
And every 5 feet I switch weapons.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know. The beta, I think, will probably end up raising my expectations of it. I think the alpha just was... It was what it was. It was a short little snippet of a game to let people see the graphics, and the graphics looked good.
Okay.
I didn't see any slowdown at all. I didn't see any frame rate issues, any shimmering textures, nothing. So I think graphically it looks good. I think the gameplay, they just need to hawk up and make sure that they've got the Borderlands shit sort of turned off so that it's more like a game. Right. On the other hand, the way it's set up, maybe that's what we're going to be stuck with. And I think that people who go into it need to prepare. Halo fans need to prepare it's not Halo.
Yeah.
And people who don't want to get it because they think it's Halo need to check it out, because it's not Halo. It's definitely it's a combination of far different things. And I remember somebody was saying that, like, it looked like Halo Gravity and Halo Jump, and I was like, well, some characters, sure, because some characters have that somewhat trait, but overall, no, it didn't. Once you start to really play it, it just didn't feel like Halo to me, which is fine. Why should it? I mean, I don't think Bungie wants to make Halo Balo, fake Halo, Phalo. And then let's see the last one here. Sorry, guys, I have my glasses. Oh, jeez. So supposedly coming soon is the GTA heists. They've said that for fucking months, man. I'm so tired of fucking hearing their lies. I want to crush their dicks. I'm so tired of hearing those fuckers. The game that I bought is not the game that they delivered.
Right.
So, I mean, it was supposed to have online heists. Online for GTA turned into nothing more than me trying to flip my car as many times as possible, which was funnier than hell.
The best.
It was a blast, but I wanted to do online heists, and the fact that they have they build it and they sold you a bill of sales, and it still isn't out. Oh, but it might be out around the time the new systems come out.
Well, it's like even the list that they put out supposedly of
the heists that are available.
There's only like 2 that would be loosely considered heists. There's like one bank thing, and then one your FBI building raid, and the other is like pick up a prisoner, escort a hooker, which none of that seems like a heist in my mind. Like I read through the bullet point list that supposedly they're putting out, and I'm like, that's not a heist.
I expected them. It's Rockstar.
Like gang territory stuff, again, not a heist.
I expected them to have it, so I don't know what their issue is. Like, I don't think Rockstar's done this before. I could be wrong, but I don't think they've ever said something's going to be available and this long. I mean, a year, right? Almost a year.
Yeah,
almost a year.
It'll come up in, I think, October.
Yeah, so I don't think I've ever seen Rockstar or another company just delay something that long. So it'll be interesting to see like what they look like. I mean, if there's only 2 heists, fuck them. Because that's basically just fulfilling the bullet point on the back of the box. Barely.
Yeah.
I mean, how hard can it? Like, I just don't get it. Like, how hard can it be to do that?
Redesign the ones from
the game,
the storyline. I mean, it's the same city. You can, and any one of these is going to be it's instanced anyway. Anytime you go into a mission, it's instanced. You're not like competing with other people in the open portion of the game. So there's no reason why they can't instance those heists.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't know. It just doesn't seem that difficult. Well, I mean, because I'm my 25 years of programming experience. I say no.
I built my last game.
Exactly. Have you played my last game, The Shittering? Yeah. No, there is no excuse for saying it would be out and taking this long. However, I mean, I do understand that things might be difficult. It just seems odd that online heists have taken this long when they were in the single-player game, number one.
Right.
And number two, those kind of like multi-character quest-style things are in other games. Like, it's not like it's rocket science, like, well, I don't mean it like that. I just mean it's not like it's something brand new no one's ever done. I mean, it's in other games or multiplayer games or whatever where those kind of multi-quests happen. How can they not figure it out? So I'm just generally pissed about it. Anything on the horizon for 2015 that you want?
For me, just The Witcher 3.
The Witcher 3.
Yeah, I've got 1 and 2.
Did you like 1? I did not like 1.
It's hard. It is hard.
It's harder than 2, yeah. 2 is more of a game. 1 is almost like some ideas.
And I can't bring myself to say, okay, I've had enough fun with Witcher and then I'm moving to Witcher 2.
Right.
I want to, but I need to finish The Witcher 1. And it's long, it's hard, and it hates you.
Yeah. Witcher 1... Yeah, I don't know. Witcher 1 was a bitch. Like, I thought I had a difficult time with Witcher 1.
Well, it reminds me of, like, CD Projekt Red is a
Eurojank?
Euro kind of country, but, like, I didn't think it was going to be, like, Russian stalker style of, like,
right.
You will, this is Dark Souls level of, I mean, not that bad, but I mean, like, Dark Souls mentality of, you're going to die and expect to die and deal with it, because welcome back to
it went pretty south, man. I don't know.
Which is fine.
I liked it, but it was hard as fuck.
I love the concepts in it. But
3 looks awesome, I think. I mean, supposedly on the E3, they showed, like, the Xbox One version, and if that's the Xbox One version, that's fucking phenomenal looking.
Yeah.
They say it was. They say it was they played the Xbox One version, and it looked that good. Some of the scenes in that just look amazing, and so graphically, I think it's good. I think if they just refine a little bit from number 2, it'll be fine. Number two was a damn good game, but I think
I'm gonna play it.
I think luckily they're not the Eurojank of like Two Worlds or something, which I loved. Two Worlds, even though it was janky as fuck. Yeah, Two Worlds, you never quite knew if by just moving forward the game would fucking crash. Like you were like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Riding a horse was a gamble.
Oh, riding a horse in Two Worlds 2, it was a suggestion. Yeah. You'd just be like, could you possibly go right? Yeah. And it'd be all.
With this, it's crazy. Like in my mind when I saw it running, I'm like, if it works as good as they're presenting it as, they're going to out Dragon's Dogma, Capcom. I mean, Dragon's Dogma, love that game, the open world, the difficulty, love that aspect of it, and
you mean you'd like it more?
I would like it more than Dragon's Dogma.
Oh, gotcha.
Love that game.
I don't know if it's possible if I would like it more than Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma was phenomenal. Dragon's Dogma's frame rate was 8 half the time, but. There was a lot of frame rate issues in Dragon's Dogma, but Dragon's Dogma fucking resolution. I mean, some of the like textures. Oh my god!
But a 45-minute Drake fight.
Yeah, man. That was Dragon's Dogma had such a cool overall just.
I will not be denied.
Real feel. Real. It had a real feel to it. It didn't feel like other games where you take on a dragon and it takes forever, but you're just like.
Yeah.
It felt like it was doing things. Matter of fact, Dark Souls versus Dragon's Dogma, when it comes to like the dragon fights, I actually somewhat like Dragon's Dogma better than Dark Souls. Dark Souls, sometimes the only way I could get by somebody was what I would term as a cheat, by using the geometry.
No, and intentionally so. It's like that's what everybody's saying. Like,
oh, is that intent? Okay.
Yeah, it's like you're supposed to, cheat
sort of cheat to get this. Yeah. And Dragon's Dogma felt like it was like, I'm in a real world and this giant thing is trying to kill me, and it would, sometimes it would fuck up and it would land on you and you wouldn't die and stuff like that. So it obviously wasn't perfect. But how did we get into Dragon's Dogma? Oh, because Witcher 3. You think there's a possibility of it being better?
I'm hoping so. I didn't see anything of Geralt actually climbing on the griffin to remove it. It seemed more either cinema or QTE based, but I liked where they were going with it because it had that. It reminded me of the feel of that, of like, okay, I've got this beast I'm hunting down. I'm prepping that.
Sure.
Way. I have it. I'm soloing this, so I got to be ready, and I got to have the right,
the dreaded dote.
Someday.
The golfing. the golphin.
It's going to happen.
The goat dolphin.
You can't.
I don't think anybody can ever kill a goat dolphin.
Can't stop it.
I think it's impossible. Yeah. I think it's one of the only few they don't even talk about it in myths because it was so deadly that if you wrote about it, you'd die.
You don't want to
be like, yeah. Yeah, the don't kill. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, you can't even evoke it. It'll be interesting. It's like Cthulhu or something. I'm probably pronouncing. I think it's Cthulhu, isn't it? However you pronounce it, whatever. If I say it 3 times, he'll show up.
Right.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I did not compare it to Dragon's Dogma, but now that you're doing so, I think that it'll be interesting to see how those two fit together. So, so on now to the next glorious section known as. The shittering. And this is Twitter shit. It's a new section that I came up with because I get tired of reading Twitter sometimes and stupid things people say. And this one's because Cliff Basinski from formerly of Epic. Now he's like with realsmallindygames.com or whatever. I don't know. Right? He's making an indie game.
Yeah, he wants to.
Yeah, he was calling out a bunch of developers about E3, and he's like, man, it's so hard to make, basically it was weird. Somebody would post anything about E3, and he would push off a post or a Twitter about how, oh yeah, it sucks making a vertical slice for E3, it's completely useless, blah, blah, blah. And what was funny was Corinne Wu, or whatever, I'm sure I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but the girl who did the lighting in Halo 4, and then she's at Naughty Dog now, the really stellar programmer. She was like, no, it's fine. And he I think he posted 1 or 2 times after that. And she was like, I understand. Good. Yeah, it's good. Like and a couple other people were like, what? No, it's fine. Now, I understand that some developers probably don't like it. It's totally true. But the fact is like, I can't seem to understand. It's almost like he had an issue with Epic that he doesn't want to tell anybody about, like an issue he dealt with. Like, with it, because the E3 drives the entire industry for fucking 6 months. Like, people talk about the E3 the day after the last E3.
Yeah.
And it's the sheer, for example, No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Got it right. For example, No Man's Sky, the amount of press it got from E3 is unattainable via money. They could not have spent money and got that much press. Yeah. So E3, I think, is totally worthwhile. It does suck. I think what they should start doing is demanding people and this will never happen, but demanding that the devs show real games, because sometimes, like Watch Dogs Division, where they might not be real. Yeah.
Cinema.
Or say, this is the PS4 version, but it's the PC version that's being played like the PS4 version, like with the same settings, because that'll never be the same. But I think E3 is amazing, and I'm a fan, so I don't have to make them. But it did seem like some of the other developers were agreeing, and it was just really odd how angry he was about it, and how he just kept talking about how difficult it was. And other people were like, well, I mean, some were like, yeah, I guess, but I mean, that's what E3 is about. It's about everybody getting together. It's like a Comic-Con, but it's the most massive motherfucker you could possibly imagine. I understand you don't write 5 pages of a comic so that you can show 5 pages of a comic as a trailer. Medium, yeah. But the fact is it was the amount of industry driving influence that E3 commands is unattainable, and I think that we wouldn't even know about some games. I mean, there's too many. I can't imagine having no E3 at all. I don't know.
Even with the internet as it is today, companies who have been established, your Microsofts, your Sonys, your Nintendos, even if they don't attend E3 like Nintendo's still putting out, here's what we got going for the next year. But we're not going to go to E3, but we're going to put our data out during E3. So they're still respecting the time frame of E3, even if they're not there.
Yeah.
So it's obvious that it has an effect. All the companies are vying for attention and coverage.
Right.
Not just from the internet or us crazy people who live and breathe video games, but it's also mainstream media. Your USA Today's, the Good Morning
Time
America's.
Covers it sometimes.
Time. I mean, just like the people who
Forbes.
The people who are outside the video games, the old people what is this video game and stuff? And,
with their torches and shit.
We're going to burn it down, and what's that, a Wii controller? Give me that. That kind of thing is they're getting this news as well.
Yeah,
so it's a much broader audience.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I don't have much more to say about that. I just think that whatever he was trying to point out, either he lost his message or he lost his fucking mind, because it made no sense. I don't know what his issue was. So, but if anybody else has an idea of what he maybe meant, or if you agree, post about it, because man, I was so confused. The next section, of course, as always. Pry my controller from a cold, dead hand.
Yeah.
Josh?
So I've...
Cadiz, sorry. Keep calling it.
I've been dipping into Shadowrun Returns. Picked it up for like $3 on Steam Flash sale. Steam sale, kids. You already know what's going on. Your wallet is forfeit. I'm sorry. It's already too late. But yeah, picked it up for like...
For $3?
$3 on a Flash.
Is that the Kickstarter one?
Yeah, it's the Kickstarter one.
I own it, yeah. I think I got it from them.
So, like, if the DLC add-on Dragonfall gets into a Flash sale, I might pick that up too. But started playing it because I played the Genesis version of Shadowrun back in the day.
Who didn't? It was a rite of passage.
I love that game because the other classes were kind of like whatever, but the Decker class, I played it. It's so much fun, that whole game. But going to this game, I've heard from multiple people that unfortunately the Decker class is not
as cool
or as represented like it was in that game. But I've got hope for mods, because they're already talking about the one modder's already done the SNES version of Shadowrun in this engine, so maybe somebody will play the Genesis one. That'd be great. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm playing as a Street Samurai, and
Shadowrun Returns.
Yeah, so I've been playing that, and the combat style so far really reminds me of XCOM, where it's turn-based. Covers is a factor. Your distance you run, you move. Everybody taking turns. It has a cover level.
Show a bar.
Shows like how much shielding you get depending on the.
Did you ever play Dragons of Kryn? Those old TSR boxed games. Like Dragons of Kryn, Champions of Kryn, Dragons of Kryn.
I vaguely remember. Like, isn't that the time of like Pool of Radiance and stuff?
Yeah, sorry, that game too. Yeah. For some reason, those two games remind me a lot of with the where you are and having to.
No, I could definitely see that.
But is it good then?
It's been fun. I played like just into the very beginning of it, and then I've been still trying to dig through Watch Dogs and stuff like that. But yeah, that's
the primary one.
It's gonna be fun.
For me, Transformers less than meets the eye.
I'm sorry already.
I did the review of Transformers. That fucking nothing. Of Orcs and Men. Orcs and Men is an older game, and I've been in discussion with Focus Interactive to get the new game called Styx. Goblin Assassin, I think. Okay. So, of Orcs and Men is the story of Styx and his orc friend, like Alakane or something. I can't quite get it, but it's sort of like a two-person miniature Dragon's Age in the way that you can control things, you can slow things down. But like KOTOR, KOTOR, the old KOTOR. Right. You can assign moves and then let go of the controller, and it does the moves.
Nice.
Yeah, and cool. It didn't get very good reviews. Well, it got middling reviews. But graphically, I got everything cranked. Sound awesome. Right. Gameplay, there's a couple issues, but overall, I've been having a fucking blast with that game. Like, it's not perfect. It's got some issues, but like one of your skills is grab the goblin and throw him. So like you can highlight grab the goblin and throw him. Then you can highlight feint and then attack, and then like dirty punch. But then with the goblin, he'll already have throw the goblin because that was chosen from the other character. Right. And then you can say like, quick stab, blah, 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 and just let it go and circle around the battle and see them all smashing each other and stuff like that. And it's actually really cool. It's a cool story where basically it's sort of a racism issue where like the orcs are treated poorly. And the goblins and the goblins and orcs and the humans are evil, basically, in a weird way.
Kind of like an overlord kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, let's see. In closing, the things we've got is why don't we cover some news versus others? I think we've covered this before, but basically, when it comes down to it, I'm only going to cover news that's like unique or where we have something unique to say. Podcasts already say, the majority of shit, other podcasts. So we try to cover something just a little bit different news-wise, whether it be like that Inquisitor game for the blind. or just something unique. I don't like to cover the same old stuff. I might cover a little bit about it, but for the most part, when people listen to the podcast, I want them to hear something new. If that bothers people and you want us to cover more of this, or if you have a suggestion because something in the news is interesting to you, I will definitely cover that. But currently, that's why we do. And basically, the ending we have is just the same thing for, asking the subscribers to go ahead and continue to push word for the website, the Patreon. Again, if you guys can help us out with that. We're going to continue to do vidcasts. We'll probably do one again this weekend because we had a ton of news and we sort of had to split it up into 2 bits. So we'll release this. I'm assuming I'll get this done and be able to release it tonight. So maybe Sunday we'll have another one for you guys. If you do have any questions or stuff you want us to cover, feel free to post it in the comments because that is something that we actually want to take in input. Some people have really good input. Actually, there's a couple things I've sort of added or adjusted here because people have said in the thread or in the comments. You can go to the Twitter that I have, and you can go ahead and send me a tweet if you have anything that you want to add or have me talk about or Cadiz talk about during these. You can also get a hold of me at angrycentaurgaming@gmail.com. That's my email for longer requests or if you have a question about something that we're covering. So again, if you get a chance, push the website as much as you can. I appreciate it. Anything you want to add?
Just thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy it, and give us suggestions. We want to talk about stuff you're interested in, and so far I've been talking about what we're interested in, and if that jives with you, great. If you want to hear something different, hit us up.
Peace out, bitches.